Ever since the dawn of human civilization, there have been games. One of the earliest games that we know of is the royal game of Ur. The rules are simple. 2 players, each with 7 tokens, must take turns moving their tokens across the game's board. Their ultimate goal being to move all 7 tokens before the other player. The game, however simple, found another use as a device for telling the future. Of course, it's only a game, but that doesn't mean it has to be insignificant.
Hello everyone and welcome to Sid Meier's Civilization V, The Great Game. I am your host, Roger Kazia. As we begin our tournament, keep in mind every civilization you will see present is a computer. It is not going to be very smart, which is hopefully where the fun comes into play. Let's begin. Kicking off the match is none other than Tecumseh leading the Shawnee from Prophetstown. Continuing on, we are seeing all of the civilizations present in the match are beginning to settle their first cities, following the Shawnee's lead, as really Tecumseh was an innovator himself, having created the Shawnee alphabet. For those interested in recreating a match of this scale, well, it takes a lot of effort, don't get me wrong. But to make things easier for you, I have linked every civilization I used in this match in the description below as a Steam collection. As we get into the match, let's focus on the game itself. Kyoto has just been founded. Japan is led by none other than Toyotomi Hideyoshi. As we move on to the next scene, this is the last footage I have of the very first turn. As we progress, things will only get more intense from here. However, you can see various different scenes of the starting cities of every civilization. Well, not all of them in the first episode. You're gonna have to be patient, though of course, as I have said, every civilization used in this game is linked in the description below. I highly recommend checking them out. They're works of art created by some of the greatest modders Civilization V has to offer. Now, just to be clear, some of these civilizations are of my own making. They are listed as civilizations by Explosive Watermelon. Oh, and for further clarity, some of the civilizations featured are of my own making. As we wrap up our tour around the globe, you can see America in Washington and Canada in Ottawa. As we continue, we have the Aztecs in Tenochtitlan, Quechua is the Payam Coichim, and Quahati is the Comanche. Here we have Malacca in Malacca, and Sulu in Bwanza. As we move on to Australia and the Maori, keep in mind I am going to get a lot of pronunciations wrong throughout this series. Moving on, we have Ndongo Matamba, the Maravai, and Lesotho. Moving up north, we have Buganda in Mulago, and Nigeria in Abuja. As we move to South America, we see the Inca, Brazil, and Argentina.
Next up, we have the Republic of China under Chiang Kai-shek. Although I have moved their capital from the mainland into Taiwan.
Now, as the turn changes, we are going to be seeing some major changes in the game. The Shawnee, our first civ on the map, is also the first civ to a second city. This lead will be only temporary as other civilizations start to spread across the map. Leading Ukraine is none other than Volodymyr Zelensky, and over in Sarai Batu is Batu Khan of the Golden Horde. Now, Although these two civs are personal favorites of mine, I do have to say they have to fight wars good in order to win this game. This is a domination only game, meaning to win, they have to conquer every other civilization's capital. Once that is done, the game is over. Up next, we see one of my own civs, Tonga under King George I. Although they do get a helping hand of militaristic bonuses from their unique unit, they do not have a lot of their uniques within this match. This is because there are no city-states within this game. Despite all of that, they have even more bad news coming for them, as they start in Polynesia, one of the hardest true start locations to recover from. All that said, every civilization has a chance to win. Some are just more likely to win than others. This is not a perfectly balanced game. Despite all of that, I did give some balance changes to the island civilizations, allowing them to embark, thus allowing Tonga to settle Nuku'alofa like you see here. Tonga is not the only civilization to get this bonus. As you can see, the Haida also share this bonus. It has been given to certain island civilizations who do not have enough of a landmass to settle a second city on. Even though the game itself is inherently imbalanced, I do seek to uplift certain civilizations that suffer from specific penalties. Now, as we transition into the next scene, we can see that civilizations who have expanded are starting to meet one another. Diplomacy, of course, is a major aspect of this game. The computer players are not too smart, but if they are able to balance their allies and enemies well, they may go far. This also allows me to showcase Coiot and Chin. As we head west, allow me to introduce you to our Central European civilizations. We have Prussia starting in Berlin, Josip Broz Tito's Yugoslavia in Belgrade, and of course, Marcus Aurelius's Rome starting in Rome. For those a little more eagle-eyed, you can see in London we have Henry VIII's England. Over with their second city in Bordeaux, by the way, is Aquitaine under Eleanor. As we move on, we see Egypt under Hatshepsut, we see Yemen under Arwa al-Salahi, and we see bits of Persia and the Umayyads. We also see a bit of the Ottomans under Orhan. The Middle East is a jam-packed region with a lot of desert but a lot of fertile floodplains as well. This can be a very powerful region. As we go to the next turn, we see that Egypt finally settles their second city, being one of the last civs to do so. Here we get a closer look at Henry VIII's England, a very beautiful green color scheme, and a civilization by the prolific JFD. England themselves are one of the few island civilizations I did not give early embarkation to. If you saw from the previous scene, a civilization, the Shuar in Ecuador, founded a pantheon. The Shuar themselves, a civilization I made, took the classic goddess of protection belief, giving them bonus to their city's ranged attacks. Moving on, we see Haiti under Papa Doc Duvalier, whose real name is actually Clarence. This civilization is another work by JFD. Here we get a better look at the Payam Coichum under Pablo Tac, the Comanche under Iron Jacket, and the Aztecs under Tlacalel. The Aztecs and Comanche are both very militaristic. On the other end of the globe, we see the Swedes under Viking leader Eric the Victorious, and Karelia under Uki Väinämöinen. The Swedes are yet again a civilization by JFD. However, as we head back, we see that the Comanche have founded a pantheon. This bonus is desert folklore, giving them a huge bonus to face from all those desert tiles in North America. This should eventually lead to them founding their own religion. Let's rough ride over to America under Teddy Roosevelt. And of course, we also see Canada under William Lyon Mackenzie King. Shout out to Dusk Jockey, who made Wilfrid Laurier's Canada, which has since been taken down. That civilization was going to feature. Over in Southeast Asia, we have Aulak, led by none other than Trung Trok. Aulak has actually founded their own pantheon. We return to England to witness Henry VIII's marvelous construction projects, having created the unique Temple of Artemis, a wonder that grants a substantial bonus to food generation within his empire. For those unaware, wonders can only be built once per game, making those cities that construct them very valuable. Ukraine, fittingly enough, starts their own pantheon, worshipping the sun god. Very fitting for a civilization whose icon is a sunflower. Returning to Scandinavia, we see that the Swedes have a third settler. This means they could get a third city, which could be a huge advantage this early on. Of course, they are not the only ones seeking expansion, as the Inca under Atahualpa, another civilization by JFD, produces their own third settler. The Inca are a very new release, having been released right before I started recording the game. Moving on, we go back to Europe to see that there is a border conflict between Prussia and Yugoslavia. Space is running out in the small continent, which has a lot of civs. As the turn progresses, we see the victor of the border conflict is none other than Prussia, settling Potsdam, their third city. This may lead to some early conflicts between Prussia and Yugoslavia. Despite all of this, no civilization has yet gone to war. Here we see a gorgeous view of the Indian subcontinent. We see at least 3 civilizations within it: the Mughals under Aurangzeb, Bangladesh under Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, and Vijayanagara under Krishnadevaraya. For now, the Mughals have 3 cities. And speaking of civilizations with 3 cities, we return to Australia to see Australia. Centered in Canberra, they have settled additionally Melbourne and Sydney. They are led by none other than John Curtin. If you look to the northwest, we can even see the Banuba under Jandamara. For now, let's return to Europe to see Portugal. Centered in Lisbon, they have also reached 3 cities. We also see south of them in Morocco is Alawite Morocco. Led by Ismail Ibn Sharif, these guys are very militaristic. However, Portugal has the expansion lead for now. Bringing ourselves further east, we see that Rome has founded their second city of Alexandria, and Yugoslavia has founded their third city, north of Zagreb. We turn our attention to the Yenisei to see the Kyrgyz have settled 2 cities, Suyab and Eskiz, bringing them to a total 4 cities. They are also rocking an updated color scheme. To their west, we see another civ that I created, the Khanty. They are actually rocking their unique unit already, the Maturkan. The Khanty get some substantial defensive bonuses. And to the south, we see another civilization, the Karakitai. The Karakitai actually get a substantial bonus based upon the amount of capitals they own. Let's go back to the Maghreb real quick to look at Carthage. They are led by none other than Hannibal. Marrakesh and Utigua, by the Alawites and Carthage respectively, are about to border one another. This could be the grounds for a future invasion, and it looks like Carthage is almost ready for one. Carthage also seeks to dominate the northern lands of Africa, sending out a third settler to grab what fertile lands are left north of the Sahara. We could even potentially see a classic Punic War between Carthage and Rome. We return to Scandinavia to see that the Swedes have settled their third city, and also field a unique unit. The Swedes unlock a Huscarl every time they get a great general. Here we get a look at the Ottomans and the Umayyads. The Ottomans, of course, are fielding a very impressive army with warriors and archers. We are also starting to receive a flood of notifications coming in. Here we see that Yemen has constructed the statue of Zeus. This is another wonder that grants significant bonuses to city conquest. To the far east, we see that the Yakuts have founded their religion of Tengriism. Although Siberia is often thought of as a barren wasteland, it can produce a lot of great competitors. We see to the south in North America, the Comanche have founded Peyoteism. Not content with fielding a very impressive army, they are also searching to settle a third city. Now, for those who don't know your history, Toyotomi Hideyoshi and Korea are not a good combination to have. Hideyoshi's losses in Korea was in fact the start of his deterioration and downfall. Whether you think he'll win or lose, let me know in the comments down below. Oh, and we're not going to overlook this notification. Cyrus the Great of the Achaemenids has constructed the Great Library. This wonder grants a free technology, giving them an early science bonus. What's more, we see Nader Shah's Afsharids to the northeast. Very briefly, we are getting a good look at the Bonuba, one of the few Aboriginal Australia civs that exist. It's been a while since we've seen South America. Here we can see that Brazil and the Inca have settled 3 cities, with the Inca having another settler on the way. To the north, we see a civ in bright pink, the Makushi. For South America's composition, I really wanted to strike a balance between native and colonial. Of course, there's only 5 civilizations in South America, but I think I struck that balance. Brazil, for the record, is led by Getulio Vargas, and Argentina is led by Juan Manuel de Rosas. Before we move on, we see the Maori have constructed Stonehenge. Now we get a close look at the Soviet Union. We see that the anti-communist Karelia has settled Aunis to the north of Moscow and Leningrad. And just as I think these 2 civilizations were not getting along well, we have our first war. Yes, we see that Egypt and Yemen have declared war on the Umayyads. However, neither have a substantial military nearby. Although this may be considered disappointing for some viewers, keep in mind we're still only 44 turns in. There is a lot more of the game to go through, and the fact we're already getting relevant wars is a good sign for the future. That said, sometimes it does feel like I'm just watching a civilization-themed ant farm. Not to overlook the important notification we get. The Shuar have founded Pajalanka in their capital city of Chupiancas. A majority of the religions founded in this game were provided by historical religions complete. While this mod does not feature in the civilization mod list, I do highly recommend it. The Shuar, for the record, give bonuses to and from their religion. This could be a huge advantage for them. Up north in Canada, we see the Métis of Saskatchewan, led by none other than Louis Riel. To their south, we have the Shoshone, led by Washakie. The Métis are a civilization of my own design, and as you can see, they have since founded a pantheon. Of course, this is your constant reminder that every civilization featured is linked in the description below. With their capital in Mashhad, we see the Afsharids, led by none other than Nader Shah. They have 2 more settlers on the way, with 4 cities. They could be big. As we move on to our next scene, we see that Egypt has finally brought together an army to potentially invade the Umayyads. They also field a 4th settler, hoping to expand their empire further along the Nile. We also see that Carthage has founded Hippo Regius, very close to Egypt's core. This tactic, commonly known as forward settling, could have devastating consequences for either Carthage or Egypt. Now, as we move on to our last scene of the episode, we see that Morocco has expanded to 4 cities with a 5th on the way. We have not yet gleaned every civilization on the globe, but we have gotten a good look at a lot of them. Let me know if you want more of this series in the future. My name is Raj Kazia, signing off.